evidence tonight that we, you, the American people, all of us, we were all lied to. We were lied to by the mob and the media. We were lied to by big tech. We were lied to repeatedly by the Democratic Party. We were lied to by Joe Biden and the Biden family. We were lied to by our federal government. And all of it was an effort to elect Joe Biden and defeat Donald Trump. Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, in fact, was very real. And the report from the New York Post about that laptop 2 weeks before the election in 2020, it was accurate and it was true. Now, Hunter's father, remember, the big guy, according to the emails in that laptop, is implicated in his son's shady international business deals. And now both the Washington Post, the New York Times, all of a sudden verified this information. Of course, there's no mystery here. This is a major, massive CYA. According to the Wall Street Journal, the criminal investigation into Hunter Biden is heating up, and he could soon face serious criminal charges. So they're saying, we might be caught covering up for the Bidens again. We better act like we reported on this story. It won't work. In a moment, we're going to take a trip down memory lane. We'll review the biggest lies from America's trusted institutions. But first, let's take a moment to recap what they're lying about. Now, we begin with a little background on Joe Biden's adult son, Hunter Biden. Hunter, obviously, a deeply troubled man. He has struggled with a severe and often debilitating addiction to crack cocaine and prostitutes. He was even discharged from the U.S. military because of his drug problem and because of his lifestyle. Well, his resume and background are anything but pristine, yet for years, zero experience Hunter and his shady business associates garnered lucrative payouts from foreign nationals all over the world. For example, Hunter received a whopping $3.5 million wire transfer from a Russian oligarch, the former First Lady of Moscow. He also got $5 million from a state-backed Chinese company, part of a multi-billion-dollar deal with the Bank of China, another $100,000 plus for an international shopping spree, compliments of a prominent Chinese national. Why doesn't that happen to any of you? And on top of the $1.5 billion deal with the Bank of China, that's a lot of money. Plus, you also got another $100,000 plus from a Kazakhstan oligarch earmarked for a brand new sports car. What a life he has. And let's not forget the $1.5 million that he received sitting on the board of Burisma Holdings, a massive Ukrainian oil and gas conglomerate with ties to a Russian oligarch. Now, his company made millions in that case. Hunter had zero experience in energy, oil, gas, and no experience with Ukraine. And he had zero experience with investing abroad also. And still these shady foreign nationals, China, Russia, Eastern Ukraine, Eastern Europe, all making Hunter Biden, the Biden family syndicate, extremely rich. And by the way, it's only the tip of the iceberg. Stop for 1 second and pause and ask yourself, what if Hunter's name was Trump? Anyway, so why were these wealthy foreigners sending a prostitute-loving crackhead? Why were they giving him so much money? Because his dad was a prominent senator, remember? Turned vice president. A lot of this happened when Joe was vice president, and the world knew that Joe had presidential aspirations. Now, they were paying for access to the highest levels of our government, and it appears they got it. Hunter even admitted this obvious factor in an interview with GMA, which was an unmitigated disaster. And let's not forget, as Vice President Biden withheld that billion taxpayer dollars in loan guarantees from Ukraine, you're not getting the billion until you fire that prosecutor. Think about this. Vice President of our country saying fire a prosecutor or you're not getting the money, and you have 6 hours, and son of a bee, they did it. They fired the prosecutor. Turns out that prosecutor was investigating zero experience Hunter and the company he was in business with, Burisma, for corruption. In other words, there really was a quid pro quo in Ukraine. It was with Joe, and he even bragged about it on camera. But according to Joe, he never, ever, one time, never, ever, 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 ever spoke with his son about his business deals ever. Just never came up. Take a look.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else
anything having to do with their businesses, period. And what I will do is the same thing we did in our administration. There will be an absolute wall between personal and private and the government.
Do you stand by your statement that you did not discuss any of your son's overseas business dealings with him?
Yes, I stand by that statement.
We all now know that is a flat-out lie. We have evidence to prove it. And not only did Joe know about his son's business partners, he actually met with them. Now, here's Joe and Hunter. They're pictured with Hunter's favorite Kazakhstan oligarch. And here's Joe with Hunter's Mexican business associates. But it gets worse. While then Vice President Joe Biden met with Hunter's partners, Hunter, well, he was paying daddy's bills. And according to emails and text messages on the laptop from hell, Hunter acted like a bagman for the entire Biden family syndicate, raking in cash, paying off all the bills. Clearly, this raises massive concerns about whether or not your president, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, was compromised. Now, the media mob, weren't they interested if there was any Trump-Russia collusion that turned out to be a big conspiracy theory lie? Why aren't they interested in this? Now, those with Trump derangement syndrome, they didn't care. They were so desperate to beat Donald Trump, they did their very best to cover all of it up. In October 2020, social media giant Twitter, remember this? They locked the New York Post out of their own account for daring to publish the very true laptop story. Now, Twitter users, they were also blocked from sharing the report, even in private messages. Facebook, they censored the report as well. And 2 weeks before the election, more than 50 former U.S. intel officials, they signed a letter calling the laptop story Russian disinformation. They had no reason to call it that. They were all lying and protecting Joe. And meanwhile, NPR, you helped pay for that, announced that they wouldn't waste their time on the Hunter Biden report because it wasn't really a story. If it was Donald Trump's sons, it would be a story. One New York Times article referring to the report as farcical Russian disinformation. Washington Post also suggested, without evidence, it was part of some foreign election disinformation scheme. Where's their proof? Where's their evidence? Now, none of these media outlets ever lifted a finger to verify the laptop until now. A new report in the Washington Post details what we've been telling you now for nearly 2 years on this program, and that is zero experience Hunter Biden got paid millions of dollars from Chinese nationals in return for next to nothing, with no expertise other than a connection to his vice president father at the time. Hey.